At dinner, I said, I'm excited for the family reunion. My brother chuckled, you're not invited. It's just for real family. Everyone laughed. I smiled and walked away. 4 days later, my dad tried to withdraw $2,400. I sent a screenshot. Payment denied. Guess it's that family-only policy. 2 days later, I heard a loud knock on my door. I don't think I've ever been that angry at them before. It was originally planned that I'd be there, too. I was the one who helped Mom find the rental cabin. I called around and confirmed the date that worked for everyone, including Cody's classes and Lana's work schedule. I even sent a deposit to hold the place. No one argued. No one hesitated. It was understood that I'd be there because I'm part of the family. At least that's what I thought. Then weeks went by. Group chat went quiet. I asked twice if the plan was still on. No one answered. Lana left me on read. Mom replied with a thumbs up once and nothing else. I figured maybe it was off, that they changed their minds, or the cabin fell through. Then we had dinner. My sister brought Dylan again, which always meant Mom would make her famous chicken Alfredo. I showed up with wine as usual. I even offered to cover the grocery bill on the way there again. Not that anyone ever asked, they just assumed. Everyone acted normal, like they weren't actively excluding me from a trip I helped plan. Halfway through dinner, I brought it up. So, when's the family reunion? I never heard if it was still happening. Cody didn't even pretend to be confused. He looked me straight in the eye, smirked, and said, "You're not invited. It's for real family." They all laughed. Not awkward chuckles, full-on shoulders-moving laughter. Dylan gave this low, awkward laugh like he wasn't sure if it was okay, but didn't want to be the only one not laughing. Lana smiled and looked down at her plate. Mom kept chewing. Dad snorted and mumbled something I couldn't hear. I smiled, too, not because it was funny, because I knew in that moment they'd made a choice. I didn't argue. I just stood up, folded my napkin, and left my half-finished plate on the table. 4 days later, Dad tried to withdraw $2,400 from the joint emergency account, the one I opened when Mom's hospital bills started piling up. I was the only one putting money into it for the past 3 years. They used it for car repairs, for Lana's textbooks, even for Cody's overdue rent once. No one ever said thank you. No one ever even acknowledged it. It was declined. I sent the screenshot to Dad directly, captioned it, "Payment denied." Must be that real family policy. Then I turned off notifications and went about my day. 2 days later, I was brushing my teeth when I heard pounding on the front door. Not knocking, pounding. Repeated angry hits like someone was trying to break in. It was 8:42 a.m. I walked over and looked through the peephole. There they were. Dad, Mom, and Cody. Dad looked like he was about to kick the door in. Cody was pacing behind him. Mom just stood there with that blank. On the victim face she always wears when things don't go her way. I didn't open it right away. I stood there and stared. Then I smiled again just like I did at dinner because I already knew this was going to be the beginning of something I wouldn't regret. I finally opened the door, but just enough to let them see my face and know I wasn't going to pretend nothing had happened. Dad started barking questions before I said a word. "What's this about freezing the account? You think this is funny?" His voice was louder than it needed to be. Cody stood behind him, arms crossed, staring at the ground like he was trying to psych himself up for a fight. Mom didn't speak. She just watched me with that tired, pitiful look she always defaulted to when things didn't go her way. She wanted me to feel guilty. They used to work. Not anymore. I told Dad calmly the account was mine. It was opened under my name. I put the money in. I let them use it for emergencies because they said they had no other options, not because they were entitled to it. He started ranting about how it was family money and I was part of this family. I smiled, told him that wasn't what I heard at dinner. Cody jumped in before Dad could speak again. "You seriously took that joke seriously?" He actually laughed. "You really think we were being serious?" I told him, "Yeah, I did," because no one corrected him. No one said it was a joke. They laughed, and then they all stayed quiet when I walked out. Cody told me to get over myself. I told him he could get over the canceled vacation. That's when Mom's eyes widened. "Canceled?" I nodded. "Charged back the deposit. I booked it. I paid for it. The reservation's gone. Should be getting the refund this week." They were quiet for a second. Then Dad exploded. "You what?" I repeated myself. Fully. They hadn't just excluded me. They used me to secure the cabin, then cut me out without a word. And they thought they'd get away with it. I reminded them I was the one who made the calls, paid the down payment, followed up with the rental company. I did the work. They took the trip. They didn't think I'd fight back. They thought I'd swallow it like I always did. Cody kept muttering. Said I was acting like some villain from a courtroom drama. That I was playing lawyer again, like it was some costume I put on. I didn't answer that. I just looked at Mom and asked if she remembered the emergency dental work she had last year. The one she didn't want Dad to know about. I covered that, too. Quietly, without receipts, without judgment. She nodded slowly. Then I turned to Dad and the hospital copays, the overdue car insurance you kept forgetting to pay, the medications for your blood pressure. That was all me, Dad. I saw something flicker in his eyes, but it wasn't gratitude. It was panic. Then I looked at Mom again. And you? The credit card you opened in my name 3 years ago, the one I didn't report. You remember that, right? Her face went pale. She looked at the ground. I paid it off, I said. Let it go. But not this. Not anymore. They weren't stunned because they didn't know. They were stunned because I said it out loud. I didn't let them keep the image they'd worked so hard to protect. The good parents, the tight family, the innocent little brother. I cracked it wide open. Dad stepped closer, said I was going to regret this, that I didn't know what I was doing, that I was messing with the only people who cared about me. I told him he had no idea who I was anymore. I wasn't the daughter who kept the lights on and said thank you when no one thanked her back. I was the lawyer they leaned on without ever paying a retainer. And if they wanted to push it, I'd push harder. I'd freeze every cent I shared with them. I'd report the credit fraud. I'd give the hospital full documentation. I'd cut them off with the precision of a scalpel. Mom started crying. Cody said I was heartless. Dad called me ungrateful. I told them I was done being useful to people who saw me as an ATM with a law degree. Then I closed the door, locked it. I didn't cry, didn't scream. I just sat on the couch and stared at the ceiling. I felt like a fuse had finally burned out and left behind nothing but clean silence. I wasn't angry anymore, just relieved. 2 hours later, my phone rang. It was Grandpa. No greeting, just, Monica, I heard what happened. You're not wrong. I'm with you. Tell me what you need. For the first time in ages, I didn't feel alone. The silence after his call felt different, not the usual kind where guilt would sneak in. This time, it was freeing, like a weight had lifted, a clear divide between me and them. I hadn't realized how much I needed that space. For 2 days, I heard nothing from the family. No calls, no texts. Then Lana messaged. She wanted to meet. We sat at a quiet cafe near her office. She came alone, without Dylan. No smile, just a serious look as she sat down and said, "They're falling apart. Mom's not eating. Dad's talking about suing you." I raised an eyebrow. Suing me? For what? They're hurt feelings. She gave a small laugh. Don't worry, he won't. He's just furious. They think you're trying to ruin the family. I stayed quiet, letting her talk. She said they blamed me for the trip falling apart, for canceling the cabin I'd paid for. Dad's been calling relatives, spinning a story that you're unstable, that you overreacted, that you threatened legal action for no reason, she said. They're making it sound like you've lost it. I nodded. This wasn't new. My family had a habit of twisting reality to paint themselves as victims. Then Lana paused, looked down, and said something unexpected. I think they're lying to themselves. I watched her closely. She avoided my gaze and continued. I've been thinking about everything. How many times you covered for them, bailed them out. She mentioned the night I stayed up with Mom until 3 a.m. when no one else cared. How I gave her money when she lost her job, no questions asked. How I helped her redo her resume, prepped her for interviews, even bought her an outfit for the one she nailed. Her voice broke, and quiet tears fell. Not dramatic, just raw, like something long buried was finally breaking free. I think I want out, she whispered. I don't want to be like them. I didn't know how to respond at first. This was the same Lana who laughed when Cody made that real family jab, the same one who ignored my texts about the trip. But now, she was seeing it, really seeing it. I asked where she'd go. She mentioned a friend in Colorado offering a room for a few months. She wanted to start over, but didn't have the money to leave. She felt trapped. I opened my purse, pulled out my checkbook, and wrote one for $7,000. I slid it across the table. She stared at it like it might burn her. No strings, I said. Just go. She looked up, eyes red. Why are you helping me? She asked. Because you're finally being honest, I replied. She nodded, folded the check, and slipped it into her bag without another word. That night, the rumors started. Aunt Jean called, asking why I was cutting the family off. She'd heard I was going through something and invited me for tea to talk it out. I told her I was fine and to ask me directly for the truth, not mom or dad. I could see where this was headed. They'd paint me as unhinged, ungrateful, the daughter who abandoned her loving family. But I didn't care. For once, they were the ones scrambling to control the narrative, and I wasn't playing their game. By the weekend, their smear campaign was in full swing. I was the villain now, selfish Monica, who lost her mind over a joke and threatened lawsuits. Mom called me dangerous. Dad told relatives I'd been corrupted by money and pride. It didn't shock me. What did was an email from Erica, an old high school friend. Subject: Hey, is everything okay with your parents? She included screenshots of messages from Mom, who hadn't contacted her in years, begging her to help Monica remember who she used to be. Mom claimed I was spiraling, cutting off everyone who loved me, and even sent a photo of me as a teenager, smiling on a camping trip, like it proved I'd once been normal. I forwarded the email to Lana with one line. So it begins. 5 minutes later, she replied, I'm so sorry. They're losing control. They don't know what else to do. She was right. This wasn't just spite, it was desperation. I was always the quiet, responsible one who took their mistreatment silently. When I stopped, they were lost. Then Cody texted, urgent, no apology, we need to talk. He kept messaging, calling. I answered, ready to shut him down, but he sounded scared. Someone used my info, my old address, email. A fraud alert showed a $3,600 jewelry store bill in my name, sent to my parents' house. My bank confirmed suspicious activity. The store said someone used my ID, and it was recent, weeks after they cut me out of the family reunion. I was calm, not scared, but furious. They didn't just betray me, they committed a crime. I drafted a letter reporting the fraud, naming a family member as the suspect. I filed it with the credit bureau, the store, and my lawyer friend Nate. The investigation targeted my parents' address. I didn't tell the family. I wanted them to feel it. Lana called, whispering. Mom and Dad were scared. The bank had called. She understood why I was pressing charges. Then my family showed up at my door. Mom, Dad, Cody, Aunt Jean, angry, like I'd betrayed them. Dad accused me of ruining the family. Mom guilt-tripped me. I stood firm. Then Grandpa arrived, stood by me, and told them to stop using me. They left silently. The jewelry store footage showed Mom signing my name, wearing the necklace she later posted online. I dropped the charges, not for them, but because they'd gotten the message. Lana moved to Denver with my help, starting fresh. My parents spread lies, calling me unstable, but I didn't care. I lived my truth. Grandpa calls to chat about small things, proud of me. Cody stayed with them, unchanged. It ended quietly, no big fight, just separation. Lana's free, Grandpa's content, my parents spin their story. I walked away from their world, living for myself. That was my revenge.